Greetings. I'm Commander United States Disabled Veterans, and I really would like to speak to the leadership of Africa. The leadership of Africa, and to the doers, the black doers of the diaspora, because there's something I've learned about power. There is no power greater than the power leveraged. There's no greater power than that same power leveraged. And then I found out something about leveraging, like in fulcrums. The longer the distance is from the weight that's to be lifted, like you may have a long board, and then you put the ball close to where you're going to lift it. The longer the fulcrum is, the easier it is to lift heavy weights. And what that really means is, in political terms, is the farther you are away from an issue, actually the more power you have to leverage that issue. Let me state that again. The farther away you are from an issue, as long as you're not totally detached, the more leverage you have on that issue. They say, for example, we used to protest against apartheid in South Africa at the universities. And so we would say, everybody was shouting, divest from South Africa, divest from South Africa. But I would say, divest from South Africa's oppressed, invest in South Africa's oppressed. So when I was saying divest from the oppressors and reinvest in the oppressed, and in that way you get the full force of their uplift, Now, it must be noted that the U.S. has killed more African leaders than we can count. And I have plenty of documentary on that. Matter of fact, the U.S. don't even really know why they had Patrice Lumumba killed. They just wanted to flex themselves and kill an African leader. And then understand that when Gaddafi came to you and began unifying Africa, a United States of Africa, using the gold dinar as a new standard, and building the eighth wonder of the world, a water pipeline that could not only feed all of Libya, but then water all of Africa, turning all the deserts into an oasis again. What happened? This terrorist you call, the whites call him abomination. He was an abomination. But President Obama then, claiming he's going to free the Libyans, had the water pipeline bombed even before they assassinated Gaddafi. So you're saying you're going in to liberate them from Gaddafi, but that was a lie, because the first thing you did was to take out the water pipeline that would have aided all of Africa. So there's no way you can say you're going to liberate a people when you destroy the very means and production of their liberation. That was a bold-faced criminal act. And I think that the people of the earth should execute these criminals. You shouldn't even have to need anybody's permission. Handle it. I think that's fair. I think that the U.S. Constitution provides that in times of tyranny, where the authorities fail to act, the citizens have a duty to take up that issue and rectify it. And nowhere in the Constitution does it say that it has to be nonviolent. Nowhere. And so when you understand what's really needing to be taking place, And we're going to encourage you to get in where you fit in, to link up, think up, and leverage, and figure out how to get these genetically recessive world enders off this side of the globe. That's really what's necessary, folks. And I did that within 6 minutes. That's not bad. So as I close, I need you to understand that they have usurped their authority. They have lost their authority by their dirty deeds. And you need to give them notice of that and then begin to self-police. And so you say, well, if we leave that standard, what standard do we hold fast to? And I would suggest that you use the divine standard, that you seek a divine life, a divine mind, a divine way of acting, a divine way of a thriving humanity. You can't lose if you thrive humanity, because you're human. See, there's a way for us to do it. We just now have to use our brain trust and then funnel all that we have into our thriving. All right. And I'm going to leave you with that. And then I'm also going to close with a prophetic tongue lashing, if you don't mind. Many times when I speak, it's well received, and I appreciate that. But as soon as I might mention a race and what racial shit, then people want to turn it. A very few, but they want to turn it. And it's because, see, white supremacy was an illusion, and the result is white fragility. White fragility. So you start talking about race, they jump off. It's like a trigger. They can't help it. It's like a self-induced mental retardation, but it's really a cultural self-induced mental retardation that if you mention any truths about it, they want to get rid of it. They want to swipe. And that's to their own detriment, because in truth, in a time of crisis, the truth teller is the key ingredient to your survival. And that's absolutely the real. Following your intuition and listening to a truth teller tell you a prophetic truth. All right. So you can be saved that way. But you definitely need to be giving notices to these temporary authorities that they've lost that authority, that you've sequestered your powers, you've pulled back your powers, you've sequestered it unto yourself. You exercise all your rights continually, and your self-policing don't require them. And then you serve them notice, get the goddamn fluoride out the drinking water, get the poisons out the food, and you only have X amount of days to do that, or we come and take your property. Matter of fact, we should be hitting them on fraud like crazy. Matter of fact, they say it's not news when a man bites a dog. I mean, when a dog bites a man, but it's news when a man bites a dog. So let me bite the biggest beast I can find before I get out of here. I got about a minute and a half to do it. And that's the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has been conducting criminal activity. They even went to the Justice Department and told them to enter into a phase of delayed prosecution, which is like this, instead on fraud cases. So like any big corporations caught with fraud will get just a tap on the wrist. Really, it's not even a tap on the wrist, because delayed prosecution means there's no prosecution. You just tell them you're going to fix it, and there's no auditing of that. Now, when the Federal Reserve told the Justice Department to do that, that was a violation of law. You can't tell the Justice Department what they do. So right there was a criminal act. Now, we don't even have to look at the trail of tears that they cause, funding both sides of wars and all these other criminal acts. That alone should free you from the IRS, from the Federal Reserve. That alone is a usurpation of their power and a criminal act. Now, how can you free yourself, you ask? Well, you free yourself by sending them notices that you're federally prohibited to support criminal organizations, and the IRS is one of them. Gotcha.